Alrighty then. So, as you can tell by the title, I'm back with another one of these kind of Chris Jam classics on the channel. The last one I did on this sort of series was G1 Bumblebee and Generations. Now we're moving on to my guy Soundwave, arguably one of the most popular characters within the Transformers franchise and fandom. I wanted to look at the G1 chug redos that we've gotten since Titan's return. So we're looking at almost 10 years worth of Soundwave product here in the collector lines from Hasbro. And I'm telling y'all, all of these are going to suck now because of the one that's coming out in Studio Series 86 in, I believe it was a 2026 listing. I may be wrong on that. It might have been for 2027, or I'm mixing things up. But we for sure have a Leader Class 86 Soundwave listing coming out either next year or 2027. And I want to talk about why these ones are going to suck, and the one coming out fairly soon is going to be superior to all of these previous molds. So let's start off with the one that kind of kickstarted off with the G1 Soundwave redos, because before then I'm not counting the video game stuff or the Legends class stuff or whatever that we got in Generations that were basically G1 adjacent designs and not exact. These are more so, Sunbow G1 design figures. So the Titans Return Leader, this came out in around, I think it was 2016, 2017. So this was a decent figure for its time, but obviously way too big, especially for scaling nowadays. And it's just outdated with articulation and engineering, and the plastic they were using back then, super hollow and just cheap. They were still trying to figure out the budget cuts that happened a few years prior in 2012, so they were still using that very cheap Thrilling 30 hollow see-through plastic, and it just wasn't a great figure overall. Back then it was all right for what it was, but nowadays especially, that is just not a good figure. I mean, it looks decent, the head sculpt is cool. The overall sculpt and paint is cool, and it comes with that little tape deck thing, and it's got the feature on its chest, and it looks the part. But once you go into the actual engineering and quality of the figure, the articulation and how the figure may hold up over time in your collection, that's when things start to fall apart. So yeah, and he's obviously way too tall. And we had to wait a couple years for a redo on G1 Soundwave. Enter 2019's Siege line, 6 years ago. Now this is a Voyager class. They got the scaling right this time around to fit in with the rest of your Generations and Classics figures you got. At that time, it was like 13 years prior. So this is a much better improvement. This is more in line with what we have nowadays. I mean, obviously Siege, it wasn't that long ago. It was only 6 years ago, and this is what started the modern age articulation and engineering in the collector line we've been getting since. Arguably, there's really not a lot of complaints with this figure, but you compare it to getting an actual G1 accurate Soundwave in the mainline collector line for Studio Series 86 especially, this is going to look like child's play compared to that figure we're getting next year, because it's taking liberties in the design. It's kind of bordering on that Suedo G1 aesthetic that we've gotten previously with like the video game Soundwave figures. Because of that Cybertronian alt mode, there's extra details, extra pieces, and greebling sculpts on this design that is not present on his G1 Sunbow design. So, and of course, his alt mode is way off from what he's supposed to transform into. And it's got that extra battle damage paint, which is definitely not 80s cartoon accurate, unless if he went through some battle in an episode, which I'm pretty sure never happened in the cartoon, because that would be more expensive to animate. Just the details, what he transforms into, the extra sculpted pieces on him. He is just not really what you're looking for in terms of an accurate 86 movie G1 Soundwave, just for overall modern age 2020s Generations collection. It's good for having a regular Generations collection, but G1 accuracy that we've been getting in the last few years, it does not hold up. And then enter roughly a year later in the 2020 Earthrise Netflix Walmart exclusive subline, you get the Voyager. Well, it was more so in between Leader Class and Voyager Class because of the two cassettes it came with. It was roughly 45 bucks if I remember correctly, the price point. And this was an improvement over that Siege figure if you're looking for that G1 cartoon accuracy. It was a bit better because it turns into that tape deck and it's got less of that greebling, and it doesn't have that battle damage paint. It's got the working chest feature, which the Siege one did too, but obviously it makes a little bit more sense here with this figure turning into that cassette player. And it came with a bit more accurate G1 cartoon cassettes, with the paint and sculpt. It was, especially with Laserbeak, it was a bit more in line with what people wanted in general with cartoon accurate Laserbeak. There were complaints with this guy. He was super hard to find. I was lucky I found him. I think it was in like December of 2020. I found him at my Walmart. There were stacks of him in this, I think, Christmas display. So I was lucky to get mine back then. But there were a ton of people out there that could not find this figure. It was impossible. So that's what's going against this figure nowadays. But in terms of the figure itself, it still has a lot of reused parts from that Siege figure. For example, it's got those weird flip out thrusters, or it could double as cannons in robot mode, which to me is cool. But if you're somebody who's looking for that cartoon accuracy, those stick out like a sore thumb, and the arms are reused. He's got that hollow gap there for the forearms. He's got no wrist swivel. So there was still quite a bit for an improvement. In his cassettes, Ravage doesn't have his tail. They still looked a little awkward, even though they were a bit more improved over their Siege counterparts. So even though they remolded him to transform into the cassette player, it still wasn't 100%. And you still get that with these last two releases that we have in Legacy. It was a Voyager Soundwave reissue in Legacy from the Siege figure of all things. I still don't know why till this day they decided to reissue this Soundwave. It wasn't even hard to find at the time. Nowadays, I don't know, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure maybe this helped a couple years later. But even so, it was kind of random, didn't really make any sense, and it didn't move anything forward for G1 Soundwave in terms of getting better figures in this collector line. And then I think like a year or two later, last year, we got the Leader Class Soundwave. I mean, we have some new cassettes. We have some SS86 stuff there with Rumble. Again, it was more of the same. They did kind of improve the paint apps to be a bit more cartoon accurate, but it was the same Earthrise mold you got 4 years prior. At least it was easier to find. It was in the main line now. But then again, it still had all those inaccuracies. It still wasn't perfect with the engineering. And I can't remember if they remolded Ravage to have a tail on this release. I'm pretty sure they didn't. So you still have those problems with Ravage, and the Buzzsaw figure is using that Laserbeak mold. So that's still a little awkward looking. Even though I think that Laserbeak mold is decent, it still could be better. And I mean, if you're like a strict G1 collector who wants that accuracy you've been getting since 2021, that Leader Class figure coming out in Studio Series 86 next year is going to be the real deal. Like, you're going to get... I'm pretty sure it's going to be an all-new mold. I would not be surprised if it's an all-new mold. And I think it should be, because Soundwave... he's one of those mainstay A-list characters. He deserves that new mold treatment, especially with these figures not being up to snuff with what you've been getting with main G1 characters the last 4 or 5 years. So I think next year you're getting that new mold. You're getting a couple cassettes with him, probably Ravage and Laserbeak and maybe Frenzy this time around instead of Rumble. Or wait, no, is the blue one Frenzy and the... still to this day, I'm confused on which is which. But probably going to get 3 new mold cassettes as well. Or maybe remolded from their Siege/86 molds. I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of still shortchanged the cassettes, but they might be new molds as well. Fact of the matter is, I think they're going to go all out with this Soundwave release next year. They've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 G1 Soundwaves the last 8, 9 years that haven't really been quite what fans have been wanting, especially in this day and age with the 86 line. So I think this is finally going to be the one, and all of these ones are going to have to bow down to that new leader class figure, and these are going to be absolutely horrible. But before then, these are still good counterparts, especially the Siege and Earthrise molds. I would not pick up that Titan's Return figure. That one is actually horrible compared to the other four. But I'm just reaching into the future as always, and I'm telling you guys, I'd wait for that 86 figure before you pick any of these previous ones up. But yeah, guys, let me know down in the comments below. How do y'all feel about these previous Soundwave figures? And how do you think they're going to do that 86 Leader Class Soundwave coming up soon? And yeah, thank y'all for watching this video. Catch you guys in the next one. Bye!